Because what still plagues Spain is they still have not sorted out their striker situation. And it's going to carry over quite poorly for a side that wants to make a case for winning this World Cup. Spain, as we've seen, teams will consistently bunker down against them, and they find it very difficult to find the breakthrough and really break teams down. And when they don't have a reliable goal scorer, it just doesn't come across to me as a team that has yet reached its peak in terms of its potential to win their second World Cup. Germany increasingly look like a 2024 type side, the Euro 2024. I think Hansi Flick, trying to craft this side into his own image, we saw the frailties that they had in this Nations League last month, losing to Hungary. They should have lost away to England. Even though they took a 2-0 lead, England came back into that match and should have won that game. I think Germany are having their own generational issues as well in the aftermath now in the post-Yogi Löw era. Hansi Flick still has his work cut out for him if he wants to make Germany a top 3 or 4 best team in the world once more. I just think this is going to be one cycle too early, but having said that, Spain and Germany are the two clear favorites to come out in this group. Costa Rica have managed to make it to a third consecutive World Cup. They've, for one last hurrah for a lot of these players. Luis Fernando Suarez deserves all the credit in the world for getting the Ticos back to this stage once more. We know how Costa Rica play. They play a very stifling, low-scoring brand of football. And I don't anticipate them to come out of this group with 3 losses, but I just don't think they're going to have enough over the course of 3 matches to really upset one of the Spaniards or the Germans. The team that is most likely to do that or have the best chance of it is the Japanese. And Japan dominated the U.S. in our friendly last week. I like the way that Japan plays. They always play a very high, pressing, very technical, fluid style of football, and they will come at you in a way where Costa Rica doesn't, and in a way where I think they're going to present more issues offensively for Spain and Germany. But the most crucial match in this group is really going to be between Costa Rica and Japan if one of those sides want to have a chance to come out. For now, though, I think the task is a little bit too tall. I have Germany actually topping this group, even though I think Spain is further in their development at the moment than Germany are. It's just because if this group comes down to, say, goal differential, if Germany and Spain take care of Costa Rica and Japan, I trust Germany to find the back of the net more often, if that makes sense. I just trust Germany to score more than I do Spain. I have Japan coming in third. I have Costa Rica coming in last. So yeah. What's remained very consistent since the draw 6 months ago, hard to believe it's been six months already, is that this is the most difficult group for me, Group F, with Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. To tell you the truth, I think every team in this group still is going to win a game. Belgium, to me, do not give the impression of being a world beater. I just don't believe that they are going to break through finally and get some silverware here in this tournament. But in this group, even though in the last video in July I had them crashing out being my upset, I think it just could be a case where, similar to France, where the individual moments of brilliance and just the sheer raw talent of this squad might be too much, especially against an unseasoned Canadian side in that opener. I'm not ruling out the possibility of an upset. If you're looking for a good candidate for that, Belgium versus Canada, or maybe Belgium versus Morocco, they could be upended in one of those matches. But for now, I just think Belgium have a little bit too much on their side to not make it through this group. They're still the best team in Group F. For Canada, they're going to be a side to really look out for. I think John Herdman might be one of the best managers entering this World Cup for a national side outside of Europe and South America. I just wonder whether Canada this is going to be a stepping stone for them instead, looking ahead to 2026 in a sort of a similar way as the United States. Morocco now with Halilhodžić gone and Hakim Ziyech back into the squad, they're looking rejuvenated under their current domestic-based manager Regawi. I elevate their prospects now more than I did before. It's just now that I rate Belgium a little bit better than I did a few months ago, I think it might be a case where Morocco does much better than they did last time around in Russia, but they just might not just have enough to come through in the end. And I gotta be honest, Croatia, I have been very surprised, and I think I was wrong. I was wrong about Croatia. Just a few weeks ago, I expressed concerns about this squad going through a shift at the moment where they might be on the downturn, but just when you think that they are, they always manage to pull off results where they need and show that they are a very much so still a side of great quality. And they had a very successful Nations League, topping a difficult group with French and the Danes. They're going to be making it into the semifinals next summer for the Nations League edition. And, I have to give Zlatko Dalic a lot of credit here. He's managed to keep this Croatian side still competitive, still playing at as high of a level as they have been for the last few years. And Croatia's been integrating their youngsters into this squad along with their veterans. I could see Croatia potentially winning this group, guys. And going on maybe another deep run, maybe to the round of 16 or to the quarterfinals. So this is really tough, but I do feel a little bit better about Belgium's chances now. I don't consider them among the favorites to win this World Cup, but I have Belgium coming in first, which is a radical change from where I had them crashing out in last back in July. I got to go with the European side. I got to go with Croatia. They've been the team this last international break that has really made me change my mind on them the most. I'm going to go with Morocco in third, and I think Canada is going to earn a lot of respect in this World Cup. I really do. But somebody has to finish last, and I think it's going to be the Canadians. So, yeah. Now, this is a very difficult group, and this might be the group of death this year. Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. As we know, Brazil are steamrolling. They might be the best team in the world right now, coming in to this World Cup. And the sensation that many are getting is that this might be finally the year the World Cup returns to South America, and specifically, it returns to Samba. It goes to Brazil. Brazil, under Tite, still have remained undefeated in World Cup qualifiers. They set the points record, shattered it, making 45 points in this last cycle. Now is the time for them to show whether they can thwart and really put to the sword all the big European sides. And right off the bat in this group, they're getting some tough competition. Switzerland had a breeze of a September in their Nations League after getting off to a very dire start in June, losing their first 3 games, looking like they were going to be relegated, but sweeping their last 3, beating Portugal, beating Spain. We know Switzerland are a side that can beat anybody on their day. They're still humming along just fine under Murat Yakin, who took over from Vladimir Pekovic at the end of last year, at the end of the European Championship last year. They remained in League A of the Nations League, and Switzerland are always a dangerous team. So are Serbia. Serbia got promoted from their group into League A. So Brazil has two League A Nations League teams in their group, 2 familiar foes from the last World Cup in 2018. And Serbia, they're looking to finally live up to their billing as dark horse, where they have perpetually underperformed in previous World Cups as an independent nation. And with guys like Tadic, Mitrovic, Milinkovic-Savic, they are looking finally like that menacing force that they can come through this time around. You have to consider an upset possibly being on the cards here. This is not a straightforward group for Brazil by any stretch of the imagination. And you have Cameroon, who were recent third place finishers at the AFCON. This is going to be monumental for the indomitable Lions against three superior opponents, but Cameroon do have quality, and they do have African World Cup pedigree on their side, because this will be now their seventh or eighth World Cup total, the most appearances of any nation from the African continent. They seem to be now a sort of every other World Cup participatory team. I don't have much else to comment on Cameroon, guys. I think Rigobert Song has a lot of work to be done in this squad. It's going to be too much, I think, for them to come through. They should finish bottom. Could they play spoiler to somebody else in this group? Of course. But with Brazil, and you have two high-caliber second-tier European national teams in this group, like I said, two teams that are going to be playing in the top league of the Nations League next season, this is looking like a true group of death. Because I'm not a madman, I'm not going to predict Brazil to come anywhere other than first, though I think they're going to be made to fight for it. I have Serbia coming second. I have the Swiss coming in third. I have Cameroon coming in last. But I gotta say, I don't feel confident about the order of this at all. Final group with Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Look. Portugal will go as far as Fernando Santos will allow them. I believe man per man, in terms of their options on the bench for each position on the pitch, this is a more complete side than the one that won the European Championship 6 years ago in 2016. And I think that when Portugal is maxed out, they are genuine contenders to win the World Cup. It's just you cannot quite rely on them to get a consistent string of results going to where you can say with confidence that they are going to be right there towards the end in this competition, because they could slip up. They have been known to make a meal out of inferior opposition. And in my opinion, that final Nations League game against Spain at home, when Spain made rotations and Portugal were on the front foot, they really should have gotten something from that match. They should have gotten at least a draw, which would have seen them make the semifinals of this third edition of the Nations League. There's also going to be a question of to what extent exactly Ronaldo's role will be in this squad, whether he'll come on as sort of like a super sub or if he'll play a sort of central role as he has. He's getting up there in age, of course, but just Portugal is they're too talented, and there's two clear favorites in this group, which are Portugal and Uruguay, and two teams that should finish bottom, which are Ghana and South Korea. I could see this being an upset here. There's usually at least one seeded team that doesn't come through the first round. I'm just much more bullish on Portugal this year than a lot of people are. I think a lot of folks are writing them off as far as their ability to go deep in this tournament, also based on the bracket. I think Portugal will come through, and I actually think they're going to come first this time around. Ghana. I think Ghana's a little bit lucky to beat this World Cup. I think they know they're a little bit lucky coming through against a very poor Nigerian team in the playoffs. As we know, Ghana, they came off a very, very abysmal Africa Cup of Nations performance where they got eliminated in the group stages. That included a loss to the Comoros Islands, for goodness sake. I think for Ghana, their coach, Otto Addo, is going to have to use this platform as sort of like a means to test out their younger generation of players, and also the ones who just only recently made a commitment to Ghana. That pledged from under 20s and under 23s, having played for other national sides. There's going to be an element of revenge here for Ghana when they come up against Uruguay, for example. That's going to be a very exciting match to watch. Those of you who remember the 2010 incident between Luis Suarez and the Black Stars. I got to be honest with you, I'm not sold on Uruguay. I think are quietly the team in this tournament that could be in the most trouble among the big sides. And it's not just that loss against Iran last week, but I don't think Diego Alonso has had enough time to implement his philosophy in this team when he took over from Oscar Tabares. They closed out qualifying with not very challenging games against Venezuela and Paraguay. And with now Nestor Araujo out for injury, that's a pretty